In this video, we will see how to create tabs that will allow you to reorganize your content cleanly and reclaim real estate on your screen, as well the smart list that will let you create a list for any object, and of course how to make it a related list. Let's get started. I'm going to go to Modify tab, select my page, click Continue. So the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to drag and drop my tabs into my form. So drag it over the form. When it turns green, drop it. Of course, the tabs component allows you to create horizontal tabs, and you can align them either to the right or left. If you understand what is the switch type, make a selection. If not, leave it at default. You're all right. Let me just select my changes. I'm going to add a few tabs. Let's say one tab for all the related contacts on my account. I'm going to call it contacts. Of course, let me add another tab for opportunities. I'm going to call it opportunities, and I'm going to paste it into the label and be done with it. So at this time I have added two tabs. One is for contacts, one is for opportunity. The next thing is I want to display all my related contacts under the contacts tab, and we do that by using the Smartlist component. Let's grab the Smartlist component and drop it into the contacts tab. Of course, the Smartlist is very powerful. It does so many things, and I'll show that in a minute. So there are few things that you need to do. The first thing is you have to identify which object you are creating this list for. So I'm going to select, this is going to be a contact object. So I'm going to look for contact. Then the second thing is I'm going to give it a meaningful title. I'm going to call it related contacts. That is my intent. And each smart list need to have a unique name. This is very critical, otherwise the actions from one list might impact the other list. So the best practice is always use the context name and supply with an incremental number. So in this case CL1. If you have to some reason add a second list of contacts, filtered on certain criteria, you can do that, but don't name it CL1. Then the name field. The name field identifies which of your list columns would be a drill down link to the details page. In this case, I'm going to say use the last name as a drill down link into the page. And of course, then I'm going to say my page size is 5. So you will have a pagination control. If it goes more than 5, so you can go back and forth in line. Then of course you also have a where clause, initial sort, other related items. For now, let me just quickly add this, and then we'll come back and take a look at it. So the next thing for me is just to add my fields. I'm going to go add my contacts business phone, and I'm going to add his email, first name, and of course definitely last name, which is my drill down option. Maybe I will also pick up a title for that contact. Once you have added it, go ahead and rearrange them. I'm gonna make my first name, then last name, then title, email, and phone. At this point I simply added a contact list, and let's save it, take a look, and then come back and make few more adjustments. So I go back to the page that we've been working in our previous examples. Let me just go ahead and refresh my screen. Once it refreshes, at the bottom now you see a new tabs section is added. Of course, we have not added anything into opportunities tabs yet, but we added something into the contacts tab. Let's take a look. So now you see a fully functional contact list. It has paginations. It is showing 5 rows per page, and of course you have pagination control, so you can do inline between the different records. You can also filter it inline. I could say get me everything that starts with the letter J, no problem. You can filter them on multiple columns if you want, no problem. Make your selection and apply the filters. I will filter it out exactly where you want to go. And The other interesting features about this one is you also have the ability to change your view size. Because I said my default page size is 5, I get to see 5 records, but I don't have to stop there. I can go change my view to show 10 records, 25, or all the way up to 200 records, but in this case I have less than 25. That would pretty much suffice my requirement. Another great capability, which could be really handy for your operations people, is they can flip this entire list into an editable list with one click. Go ahead, click the edit button. That would flip the whole list into an Excel like editable list, and go ahead and make your changes. I'm going to change my CTO to a CFO, or rather CFO to a CTO. I'm sure they won't like it. And then make changes as you feel. Wherever you want to make the changes, as you are making the changes, the system will track your edits and highlight them, and when you perform a save, only those records would be updated, unlike everything getting overwritten. So this is extremely powerful feature. Let me just go ahead and make my changes back into the system. Now he became a CTO and he became Barrett instead of Bar. Other interesting things you can do is you can also perform the mass operations on this record. What I mean by that is you can pick and choose a set of records across the pages, and you can update them or transfer them or delete them in a mass mode. Let me just update them both to be a CFO title. So I select those two records, I click my update button, and this would give me a pop-up of my mass updating capability. It gives me all the columns and asks me which column to update, and I'm going to update my title to be CFO for both of them, so both those guys will now turn back to CFO. This is another fantastic great capability that you have. Well, if you have noticed, there you see pretty much all the contacts available. They're not related to this account anymore, but everything else. If I go back to my United Gas and Oil Corporation, I see only one contact, Ashley James. But why am I seeing more contacts here? This is because we have not made it a related list, we just made it a list. Of course, to do that, we will go back to the builder and make few more adjustments on the Smartlist. Let's go to the properties, and you can navigate to the properties of any component by clicking the settings icon, and here we do few more interesting things. The first one I want to do is I want to plug in a where condition to exclude all the contacts that does not belong to my context account. So for that, I'm going to plug in what we call the Visualforce syntax here. It's a pretty standard Visualforce syntax, and of course in our upcoming releases we will be making it more drag and drop enabled. So all I'm saying in this case is pick up only the accounts where the account ID on that contact is my current context account ID, number one. The second thing, I want to basically have the list sorted in ascending order based on my last name. I'm going to do that. Then a couple more interesting things I'm going to do here. So the relation field and the relation field value. This defines when you try to create a new record, when you click the new button within the related list, whether would you go directly all the way to a new contact, or will you be able to do that in a pop-up. My interest here is to do that in a pop-up, so I'm going to identify what is the field that is connecting the contact and typically what is the value for it. So in this case, this happens to be account ID is the field on the contact would identify the account ID of my context object. Then when you are giving a relation field and the relation field value, you're going to create a new contact in a pop-up, so you supply what fields you want to see in that create pop-up. In this case, I want to see my last name, first name, email, phone, and a title. That's what I'm going to see. I supply those values. That's it. At this point, I supplied all the details I wanted. Few changes I did. I made it a related list. I sorting it by the last name. I identified my pop-up create option. Let's go ahead, save the changes, save my page, and refresh my screen here. Now surprisingly, when this time contacts is loaded, it is showing only 2 contacts for me. Let me just refresh it here. That seems about right. My account has only 2 contacts. But let's also take a look at what happens when you click new. When you click new, you would now see a pop-up, and the pop-up gives you the supplied fields we have. Let me just create a new one. I'm going to call it contact. Last name, I'm going to call it contact 3. First name, I'm going to call it new contact. Email, I'm going to give him test123@clarisoft.com. Phone number, I'm going to give it 222-333-4444, and I'm going to make him a demo engineer. Well, that's about it. Let's go ahead and execute. And what happens is now the system adds the record, and you also see that right there. And of course, you're sorting them by the last name. It automatically gets sorted for you, or if you like, you can go sort them the way you want it. So this is a very powerful construct, and Smartlist can do many things for you. Create a list which are inline editable, which are filterable, which are sortable, which can be paginated, where you can control the items that you see per page. You can do mass actions on it. You can create a new one in a pop-up. You can edit them all in one go. So this can be used to display your tabs, like your accounts landing tabs, or can be used to show related lists within a context object. So that covers the tabs and the Smartlist component. I would cover the other items in my subsequent videos.